Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. As I mentioned in my last video, today I'm going to share some tips on how to play Chopin's music more artistically. When I was a young student, whenever I hear a great pianist, whether on recording or from a live concert, I always wondered, how did they do it? It seems they have some superpowers. I'm talking about artists like Horowitz and Rubinstein. The sound and atmosphere they created in their performances were absolutely mesmerizing and magical. Through years of learning, playing, and teaching, I have discovered a number of things that are essential to a more refined and artistic playing. I would like to share these ideas with all of you. Whether you play piano as a hobby and look for ways to improve your playing, or you have kids who are taking piano lessons and you want to help them with their practice, or you are just a music lover who's interested in learning more about classical music. I hope you find these ideas helpful. As I prepare for this video, I realized these ideas are not only essential in playing Chopin's music, but you can also apply them to many composers and pieces. To make a better watching experience for you guys, I have decided to break my discussions into two videos as part 1 and part 2, so that you don't get bored halfway through and worry about you're gonna miss something important in the second half. Now, without further ado, let's start with the one idea that seems very basic, but in my opinion, is also the most challenging to teach and to master: rubato. If you're not familiar with the word, let me give you a quick intro. Rubato is an Italian word meaning stolen or robbed. In music, we use the term tempo rubato to describe a performance approach that is commonly associated with romantic music. Tempo rubato simply means stolen time. I can tell you people wrote books and theses on this subject. Why? Because it's musicians' most powerful tool to express their feelings and emotions. Also, the application of rubato can be very complex. So, how does rubato work in a piece? I have found a perfect tool to help me explain so you can easily understand. This is an elastic wristband. Before I do anything to it, imagine this wristband represents the original rhythm written by the composer. Now, I'm going to stretch it and let go. Stretch it and let go. Just like I will take some extra time on certain notes and places and go back to the original tempo. The movement you see on this wristband is exactly what rubato does in the music. It creates elasticity and freedom to the tempo. I can choose to stretch a lot and slowly release it, or I can stretch just a little bit and quickly let go. So there's a variety of rubato you can do. Now, why do we need rubato? Well, let me show you how it's going to sound like if we follow the rhythm strictly. I'm going to need the help of the metronome. So let's turn this on. By the way, I'm playing the same nocturne from last video. This is Nocturne in D flat major, opus 27, number 2. So let's see. I'm gonna go a little bit slower. Okay, so let's do an experiment. right from the beginning, this is already feel very rushed. Yeah, because you have to get there on time. A little bit ahead of the beat. Okay, I'll stop here for a second. As you can hear, it sounds very dry and lacks of expression. There are places where I just want to move, I want it to flow, but the metronome doesn't really allow me to do that. And then also there are other places where I feel I want to brace. For example, at the end of the phrase, I want to take a little bit time, but I cannot afford to do that, you see? And later in this piece, as the music gets more emotional, I think you're gonna suffer more if you follow the rhythm strictly. So let me show you, this is the middle section. You see what I mean? Because when the music is so passionate and so exciting, you just couldn't quite do it. If you stay, it almost like the music remain static, you know. Um, yeah, so I'm sure nobody wants to sound like a robot. And this is why we need a rubato. We absolutely need it. So now comes the most important question. How to apply rubato in a piece? In order to answer this question, I think we have to trace back to the playing style of Chopin himself. Thanks to his biographers and students' memoirs, we learned that Chopin thinks the left hand is like the conductor, which means it should remain relatively steady, while the right hand can be more flexible. It's like a singer who sings expressively. But here is the tricky part. Think about it. If left hand plays strictly the entire time, while right hand is taking time here and there, then very soon two hands will be out of sync, right? That's why it's extremely important that after you take some time on certain notes or phrases, you must also pay the time back in order to maintain a balance. The left hand should also respond to what right hand does, to go with the flow instead of sticking to a rigid beat. The concept itself is fairly simple, but in real life, I found we often tend to overindulge ourselves. I remember teaching a nocturne to a very talented student. Because he is so musical, he likes to take a lot of time at too many places. I remember telling him in a lesson, I said, imagine you are on a road trip and you have this amazing sight to see at the end. but you keep making stops every time you see some flowers, some cows. So your trip is stretched longer and longer. By the end of the day, you might never make it to the site that you want to see the most. And going back to this wristband, if you keep stretching it, go farther and farther until there's no more room to go, guess what will happen? It will break. And in a piece, the music will stop flowing. So, how can you avoid sounding like a broken wristband? Here I have some suggestions. Number one, know your destination. Ask yourself, where is the peak of a phrase? And what part of the phrase you want to emphasize? Then you pick one place to take time, and the rest just let go. For example, here is the D flat major nocturne again. Let me show you how I apply rubato at the beginning. So right in the first measure, going from the lowest D flat to F, this is such a big leap, right? I think in the nocturne, the nature of nocturne is so calm and peaceful. You don't want to sound like rushed. So this is why you got to take a little bit time right from the beginning. And then the first note. I don't think you need to take too much time at the beginning. I think you should just follow the natural flow of the phrase. Okay, so after the first measure, I pretty much just remain very, very strict with the tempo. Now comes to the second phrase. I think you probably noticed I took a little bit time before I reached that high note, the G flat. So because personally I feel this note is more special than the other notes around it. It's very expressive, and also just to against the gravity, naturally I feel it's taking more time for me to get there. So that's why I made that decision. And then after that, I just let it fall. And then also the ending, I feel like even though the notes you have in the score are 30-second notes, but there's really no need to play them so strict, like that feels very rushed, and also it does not sound like an ending, but this is the closure of the first big long phrase. And then because I just took some time there, so the following phrase, I choose to go very straightforward, very simple, without taking too much time. I think I even pushed a little bit so that the music can flow better. There's another example. Let me show you. It's in the middle section where I feel the urgency and excitement are just growing more and more. several G flats on top. Ta-da! And then each time I push a little bit more, I get a little bit faster until the very last one. I actually took a lot of time there. Because I feel that's absolutely the peak of the phrase. And I think it makes sense to give a little bit more time. My next suggestion is imagine each phrase is like a sentence. Just like when we talk, depending on our mood, we naturally will highlight certain words and vary our tones. It's exactly the same in music. What words, or in this case, what notes, do you feel is the most significant? And where do you want to brace? Find the center of the phrase, then work around it. If you're still not sure, then try to sing the right hand melody. After all, vocal music comes before everything else. At the very beginning of the music history, before any instrument ever existed, there was the human voice. So how you would sing naturally and intuitively will be probably the best interpretation. And that's very much in line with Chopin's aesthetic, because he doesn't like a big distortion on the original tempo. Let me give you another example. I'm going to show you the B flat minor nocturne, just the beginning of it. This is Opus 9 number 1. I know this is also many people's favorite piece. This is just the opening, and it's a group of phrases. At the beginning, I didn't take too much time because I just want to keep it simple and natural and let the music speak for itself. And the second time, when we have more appoggiatura, the decorative smaller notes, I try to play them very light. But then the next phrase, as you can hear, I definitely take a lot of time there because I feel the phrase is growing, the music is growing, and I want to respond to that. And then as we get to the end of this phrase, I want to close it. So gradually getting softer and then also take more time. My last suggestion is to listen to recordings. You can develop a pretty good sense of rubato through listening to great artists. When it comes to Chopin's music, I want to recommend 3 artists that I listen to all the time. They are Rubinstein, Zimmerman, and Sojin Cho. I hope I pronounced his name correctly. The last artist is a young South Korean pianist who won gold medal in 2015 International Chopin Piano Competition. I love how they all maintained their own personalities and at the same time stayed true to the composer. Well, this video has turned out to be much longer than I initially planned because I want to take the time and explain things in details. Thank you for sticking with me. and I certainly hope it will spark some ideas in your music making. Like I mentioned before, you can really apply rubato to many composers and pieces. Let's say if you're playing for Elise, so instead of playing very strictly by meter, try to use some rubato at the beginning. You know what I mean? Have fun and experiment with it. Finally, please don't forget part 2 is coming in about 2 weeks or maybe sooner. We'll see. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.